probably like somebody like trying to wipe it down. Somebody else doing it, probably dripping out.
Or we didn't try to wipe it out at all. I mean, that's more like whatever.
No, it actually when I packed it, actually looked like somebody did try to wipe it down.
Yeah,
But it was like only 30 minutes.
but it was like right now. It's just they're like. I didn't even see this. That's why I would say okay, so our camera was still on high game from the beach tonight, so that's probably another reason why we didn't check it out right now and see how we're looking. All right, cool. Just, you know what? If anything needs fixing, I can't see you, but I'll go over and zoom in. Mine is
Another. Oh, okay, cool. I'll go find a stretch ball so I can throw it at you.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, hello, folks. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times, and as you guys can see, the president's podium is there because he is set to speak later on. This is live from Trump Tower, where he is right now, and there's a State Department briefing coming in just a little bit. We're trying to get feed, and as soon as we get that, then we'll switch over to the State Department briefing. At a later time, President Trump is set to speak regarding infrastructure. So he says he has some pretty good news and some developments. So that's the reason why his podium is out. He's going to be speaking from Trump Tower in New York City. So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Jen, like I said. Thank you for choosing us as your stream of choice. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. And it should start in just a few minutes. The Department press briefing starts in 15 minutes, around that time. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to get feed before that. But it's scheduled to start in 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
No, this was just in case somebody,
Pretty cool, just like last
Not doing no work, not doing nothing.
I'm glad I'm not
Hello, folks. If you guys just joined us, my name is Jen. I am the host of the stream. Right now, we're watching Trump Tower live, where President Trump is going to be speaking later on infrastructure. So right now, we're waiting for the State Department briefing. We're waiting for feed. So once we get that, then we'll switch over. But later on, we're going to do another stream because President Trump is set to speak. As you guys can see, his podium is out already, and they're preparing everything, making sure everything works. And he's set to speak at, I think, around 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, I think around that time. So we're going to go back to that once the State Department briefing is done. But for now, we're just waiting for it. We're waiting for feed, and we'll switch over when we have it. Thank you very much. Please share the stream. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the chat. All right, folks. So we got footage of the press briefing, the State Department press briefing already. So we're going to switch over to that, and we'll go back to Trump Tower on our next stream when President Trump is set to speak regarding infrastructure. But for now, we're going to switch over to the State Department for the briefing by Heather. So let's go there now.
Billy McKnight.
I think Bill ran into a brick wall.
Because I talk to guys that go like, hey, have you seen Billy McKnight? And they look at me like, fuck off. You know, they don't want to talk about it. Did he like piss some people off?
Like who? People at CNN?
Yeah, I mean, shooter.
Yeah.
And so like,
Yeah,
kind
he
of
ran into a brick wall.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
The lights are on. Go up there, get pictures. You know, you got to do at least one Facebook photo.
Okay, that's true. We might as well. No one's here.
No one's here.
Is it delayed?
Yeah, 2:30 now.
Oh, then we're definitely taking pictures.
All right, that's the spirit. So, yeah, you've been enjoying. See, look, this is what I learned a long time ago when I got there. Because once I started, after a couple of years, I figured out how things were operating.
Yeah, this is another.
I started getting frustrated, as some other people.
Oh, just letting you know.
Because,
This happened to me too.
and I was telling Mr. Greg, and not so many words, in a different kind of roundabout way.
What happened to me too.
It's an establishment. They have their ways, the hierarchy. There is a pecking order. There are favoritism. There's all this shit going on. And as a new person coming in, I don't care where you're from or what your experience is, you're not going to break through that. Some try to do that. And after a while, they get chewed up and spit out. It's just not, it's, you know, unless you grew up in the system.
Right.
And you got promoted, and then you may have a little more swaying power to kind of shift things and try to do things differently. You just can't come in and say, you know what, Tom? I want you to go. No, you're going to be pissed off.
Right.
Who are you going to go talk to?
Right, sure.
Somebody over his head that you know. And
So that's kind of
what
what
it
you
is. It's just that kind of stuff. That's not the scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
He
what
wasn't the layoff guy, like, you know, sat down after going, well, you know, I know you've been here 25 years.
No.
We can like,
No.
okay.
No, had nothing to do with that. But
Because he
there's
was such a
still,
good guy and a good friend to me, I kind of lost track of him now.
yeah,
He's working in Georgetown.
right, teaching, yeah,
Great idea.
um,
Great working people together.
She has a
Yeah.
meeting at 2.
That's good. But anyway, I just wondered if,
At 3:30.
you know, if your reaction had been like, oh yeah,
3
you
and 3:30.
know, fire everybody and, you know. and
now,
public
he didn't have the power to do that. Now, certainly he had influence.
Right.
If you were messing up,
Right.
you know, he could probably, you know, help get you pushed out the door.
Right.
But that was, you know, see, that's the other thing, and that's what was always interesting about CNN.
All right, folks. So really quick, if for whatever reason before it starts they switch it off to fix something or whatever, we'll go back to Trump Tower, and then once they bring it back, we'll go to the State Department briefing. Now, I really do not know about what that guy said, that it was going to be delayed a little bit. I have no idea. There's no updates coming in from the State Department for the pool feed. According to the pool, it's still starting at the time that it was set, or maybe delayed by 15 minutes. But it should start within the next 15 minutes. So stay here at Golden State Times. Make sure you guys share the stream. Thank you very much.
That was stolen at the State Department. Here.
I mean, that kind of stuff happens. I mean, certainly when somebody of high up management comes in and they say, well, look, guys, we're going to no longer do the long format pieces. I want our pieces to be 1:30.
Right.
What?
Right.
Minute 30? You can't really get 3 sound bites in, you know, or 2 in the stand-up.
Yeah,
and,
right.
You know, and he's like, that's what I want,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
kind of deal. You're like, okay, yeah, you know, we're going to do this. Or, and I'll never forget Dave Pierce.
Dave Pierce.
Remember Dave?
Sure. I like Dave.
You like Dave, yeah. I always thought Dave was a little aloof. And I'll never, you know, he was the one that kind of gave me the opportunity.
He was a good guy.
And he was a good guy, although he was, you know, he was a different cat.
Yeah,
and then Bill Waller, remember Bill was his assistant news director.
Yeah, I remember Bill, a great guy.
Bill, great guy, had good, sharp editorial smarts.
And then, well, we're kind of screwed the pooch with like when Manny came in.
Who?
Gannett.
Oh.
You know, when Gannett, well, it was okay for a little while, but then this.
Right, I wasn't there when Gannett came in.
Lefty.
Right, it was still DVM.
I got into it with the news director about that.
Who was it?
Cat Rob Manny. Terrible
Yeah,
human being.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a situation
That's
where
usually
that's
what happens when you take work like that. They're big shots.
He used to be a shooter.
Oh,
And shooters turn into managers.
Oh, on that. Well, it can be. I thought Bill was a great guy. Really, I did. You know, the only thing I hated was Bill was still on a local television.
Right.
You know, he saw everything through a local lens.
Right.
Whereas, you know, some of the stuff, you know.
But he was a real journalist.
Right.
He could sell the journalism.
Yeah.
Well, we seen him come and go.
And that's, and I'll tell you a funny quick story. So do you know, I gotta think for a second, Rick Morse from Fox?
Yeah.
Rick is kind of like their utility guy.
Yeah.
He shoots now and then, but he was at CNN.
Right.
Okay.
He's a great guy, yeah.
Rick left CNN because of, you know, the bullshit that started happening when it went too corporate. So, you know, corporate guys come in, like you said, and all of a sudden, you know, things start to change. You're like, well, why are we doing things this way? We've been doing them like this all along. Everything runs smoothly, no problems. You know, all the other networks love what we're doing. And now so he's like, I'm out of here. I'll never forget one day we were talking, and he's like, you know, they'll come and go, and we'll still be here.
Right.
Don't forget that. Right. And that's stuck in the back of my head. And you just, sometimes you do have to just kind of play along.
Yeah.
You know, hunker down, be a good soldier, do what you gotta do to keep, you know, stay under the line of fire.
That's exactly right.
But I'm getting ready to leave CNN. I'm about done. Yeah.
It's you know, I had a kid who was like around the age of college, so I was paying him for
Right.
No.
How old are you, Tom?
Almost.
Yeah, you look good for 65. Dude, seriously, man. I wouldn't have guessed that. I'm 55. I'll be 55 in December. So, but I'm just done. Feeling down, beat up, neck hurts. Thank God my back isn't giving me trouble.
You want to like go run your motorcycle?
Yeah, I just
I'm gonna stir this.
Thank God I didn't fall into the trap of having kids. I never married, which, I mean, there were times when I think I missed out on a lot of stuff, but it's going to enable me to retire early. And so that's the one caveat. Well, I don't have to.
Sylvie, she grew up in Chevy Chase, like,
What's her name?
Sylvie Oberlander.
Oh yeah, Bob's daughter?
No.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, right. No, I wouldn't do that.
No, that was Nikki, was her name.
Okay.
Nicole, I think.
No, you're brother or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well,
You guys,
sorry to hear that.
when you speak of Mark Marshall and my wife,
Yeah.
she like goes, oh wow, Mark, yeah. Because she loves you guys. She was you guys like the phone.
Can you have your phone? Let me see a picture of her. Come on, Tom. You don't have a picture of your wife? How many kids do you have?
All right, so really quick for the people that are new to the channel, that's not me talking. I just want to put it for the record. That's not me talking. That's nobody that works for me or is associated with us talking. That's just two random reporters just talking on a hot mic in the at the State Department. The Department of at the State Department. So again, that's not me. And yeah, so just wanted to say that real quick.
Oh, okay. So she's inside all the time.
Yeah, she's not out here.
Okay, so maybe I would have never seen her out in the field.
Nah.
But you got to have a picture of her somewhere. I got some picture of her. How you doing?
Good. Not ready yet.
Take your time. I got all day. But I've done some, you know, big production stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm sure I would have bumped into her.
Oh yeah. But she's like doing really nice. Like she actually on Sunday she was celebrity.
Is that right? Good for her.
She like doing the Louise Dreyfus, you know. She does. The guy on the Mindy project last week. She was
Really?
Yeah.
so she's like doing more entertainment stuff.
That's the best, really.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking it's still 2 o'clock.
Oh, I got it.
You don't have a picture.
I do some.
Now, did she grew up in Chevy Chase?
Yeah. Do you remember when Highs was on Brookfield Road?
Yes.
She
Because
does too.
Okay, so she grew up on the Maryland side.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. See, I was only, yeah, she does look familiar, actually.
And believe me, they know you.
Oh, I'm sure. It's because of my brother. Yeah.
They thought you guys.
My brother was such a terror. Yes. I'm sorry. That's why I pronounce my name the Sicilian way now. But, it's just, there's just too much. Too much damage that's been done. So what are you doing here? Just some cuts?
Cutaways that get for 7 minutes.
Okay. You like that, yeah. Well, you know, this isn't gonna happen for half an hour.
Yeah.
Yours. My
I gotta,
birthday,
like,
next month.
Sign in away the flag. It's like my pass, that's the whole thing. It's like we're trying to get a like state-of-our pass, but you gotta like attend so many times. That's the deal. So Sheila said.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cracking. These people are well, they've done that at the one place that's done that for a long time has been Pentagon.
Right.
That's just
And which I can understand because it's a, they're all sensitive places, but these rooms are all passcoded. You can't just walk in. You're trying to do espionage. So,
Right.
but my point there is, yeah, this group is, I don't know where you fell on the political spectrum, you know. Did you vote?
Oh yeah, but if it was a Catholic, it's kind of like.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying personally. Was there a sign in?
Did you send? You have a hard pass?
I have a hard pass.
I know. I think I.
Ma'am, we got one more. Gentlemen.
You're full, right?
No, I am.
I'll make you sign in this.
Yes.
What is it? Because you give some gifts or special
You are getting a special event for a special meeting.
Yay! Yay!
Wait for it.
You don't have the image of yet, right?
Yeah. Wait.
Tell me, sorry, I'm learning everyone's name.
I kind of like this one.
I'm not.
I think I grew it from lighter than it used to be. I don't remember ever seeing it.
I'm getting a little nervous about the way forward. I mean, Charlottesville. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Because of this administration, that's not going. There's going to be a lot more civil unrest. You know,
Vacation.
I'm surprised
that's the scary thing. You know, I spent 2 weeks on the street in Baltimore with election time. It was rough, and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to doing anything anymore.
It's getting meaner.
It's getting more dangerous.
If you've got a camera, like you're
In fact, CNN bought a bunch of riot gear for everybody, and they were They only outfitted a few people, and now they're outfitting everybody. They sent me an email. So what's your size for helmet and vest and all that? I'm like, what?
Maybe we'll start shooting some they're running cars.
Well, that's just a crazy job. But I mean, yeah, no question that, you know, it doesn't take much for somebody to be up in a building, you know, and just to start shooting down the crowd. You know, there's a lot of crazy people out there and guns everywhere. It's just, you know.
Are you going to stick around here when she's developed?
Yeah, for a while. I mean, I have 2 houses here, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Still on 31st Street?
Yeah, I have that house, and I have my house in Capitol Hill as well.
Oh, right. You were smart. Really smart. You got
that's like big time.
Well, you're real smart. That house is beautiful on 31st Street.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on that place. The only thing I haven't done that's left to do is put in air conditioning, central air. And I'm getting ready to do that this next month.
Was it like 10 grand?
Keep dreaming. Yeah. Like 20-something thousand. But I found, have you seen they have the Mitsubishi makes these smaller units that has like an air handler in the house.
You're going to have it like vents put in and all that kind of stuff?
Well, you have these like handlers put in.
Yeah.
So they just drill a hole through the wall and run the coolant line outside of the compressor.
Right.
And inside you have it's about this long and about this high, and you just mount it in each room. And I'm going to do that because I don't need the ductwork. See, my house has got no room for ductwork. It's so tiny. The closets are like this big. I had a couple people come out and they're like, well, you know, we could take up this house. I was like, I can only get 3 shirts in there. And they're like, well, you know, it's not as bad as you think. And then when I saw the price,
Was that kind of, how much will that increase the value?
Substantially. You know.
Is there a certain?
I told you. You know, it really will substantially.
You know where Brooklyn Market is?
Yeah.
And LaFair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Shooting lots like west of that.
Oh, yeah.
So that
That's where you are now?
Yeah.
So you moved from that other house?
Well, we've been there for like 20 years.
Okay. Originally you were a block off of Connecticut, right? In your other house?
Yeah, we're actually up Dorsal Road.
East of
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good name. So you've been there how long? So you paid like 400.
Yeah, exactly. Like 550.
Right, it's about.
Then we blew out the roof, put like
Did you roof it?
new bedroom up there.
Really?
So we get out of there, we can cash out.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
Good for you, man. Good for you. No, that's a lot. You know, where'd you grow up? Did you go to BCC? No, we went to WJ. Okay. Well, I grew up in both DC and Maryland. So we moved to Chevy Chase, Maryland for high school. My parents couldn't afford a place. You know, I mean,
You go to Lafayette?
with Lafayette. And went to unbelievable. It looks like a college. Yeah. Well, you know, that's the best elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
So they spend, you know, it's got the big tax base, they can spend the money there. And they know people will do it.
Yeah,
And,
her has a student.
Got it, thank you. Oh, did you want it?
Great, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All good.
So,
I told you about that time we went to Canada. Did you get an assignment?
yes, you told me that story, and I don't remember it to this day. That's terrible that I don't remember it.
Never forget it.
You sure it wasn't Andrew Gall? Because I know Andrew was like, he was a wild man, and that sounds like something he would have done. Wow.
So precise. She's so fantastic. I just like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'll never forget Andrew almost beat up some kid.
Some guys have some tab.
Yeah, I knew him from growing up.
Was he a Chevy guy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, he was a wild dude, no question about it. Crazy. He knew people that I knew. I didn't know him as a young kid. I met him like in middle school or early high school, I think. Yeah. We knew a lot of the same people.
He was fantastic.
Well, it's funny. The guy I mentioned that Rick Morris, well, he's from the area. He was a Hearst guy, and when I went to St. Anne's for junior high school, I met a lot of people who he knew. I know a lot of people that he knew. We have a lot of common friends, and. Those were some rough times too. There was some tough people. Late night when we used to run around, a lot of fights. We used to run around all the time. It wasn't a whole lot to do. A lot of crazy shit went on back in those days. I was usually on the sidelines because I wasn't big enough to get in the brawls.
Like not related to Australia, just like, no, not related to Australia.
Yeah, well, I had to fight my brother.
They offered it to
Yeah, so then I got beat up a lot.
Had you been there? Called me that, or finally I figured.
Put the top on.
Telling a story of how people were shaking hands, and we were in a box. They took a pass out to nothing. You got the seating line, shaking hands, and I was chatting with the Russian.
Not over.
245. It's been pushed back. 245.
Yeah.
We'll be here at like 5.
They say that 2:30. Now it's 2:45.
Did I see you two?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, my bad. I wasn't. So basically what happened was on the other side.
Oh my God. I don't think I'm gonna
You don't come through.
It's a thing. The Australian interior product, so basically trees and.
Oh no, so my dad was this was actually.
okay.
He didn't know it was a civilian.
So basically, it was a bunch of
The same thing.
yeah, from Tokyo.
Looks like
They're so cars people like how and so then we go of course
so they're very famous. Nice century things.
and so basically it was that
Sandstone was originally embedded to tilt the mountain rivers, and it was embedded in the river of the Texas reflection. So now
You could do it at one,
the
right?
base,
But you're not having anything to say. This is where it's at.
it's big surface, but it's basically still in the realm of the
you know what's gonna happen, but I didn't see the cards. When she was there was
incorporated
evidence.
yeah, well, like
Basically, that all we do is just describe
Yeah, I like one thing.
one big thing, like you see it, you don't know
Out there for a swimmer. Just like sat on really asked people to escort us to the store. Oh, for real, because we were like, well, we have like half an hour. We don't like ask those in the hallway, but we asked like if you want.
but you know, it was more like,
They're like, we don't have to do that.
you know what,
Make that go.
it's a wedding.
Okay, we didn't say that, but in my head, we didn't want to say that.
People I hadn't seen like 3 years.
So, it is kind of something. We're like, I'll make my own one.
But also,
Right? I know.
Yeah.
That's the thing about here is like, you know where to go.
And then, like, something
Or you can just like, wanted to get out of this like ice box. Yeah. Or just like this.
But if you get images instead
We're close to UW. So if you go like past the entrance that we typically go through, you like sort of get towards that area. I guess that's true. That's pretty far though. That's, yeah. I jumped there.
So I asked them.
Nope.
like just one small piece. Like this whole part was getting so this is one of my
Yeah.
somebody was like building more than yeah. So
I mean, July was pretty good. All that fire. With July gone. Yeah. Then we also lost yeah. Although we lost
Oh, I know. Oh, okay.
I've had it go and got the city.
Seems like more time to stick.
Yeah. I mean, this is always
the Yellowstone.
I really don't know that many meters of Central Europe.
what are the locals? They have trouble.
It's like if you're not from home, then if you're 10 years
this guy is a grad student in
Not all day, right? Like,
They're trying so one's executive
And then
but they also
we don't have it's like the management. like, I've seen that's not, yeah, it'd be like,
Those guys.
They already started.
Sometimes this girl was filled up. Not like, yes, not like old stuff.
More upset.
Yes.
Oh.
They're in the bullpen, we'll call it bullpen. And you still have with your like, they don't want it.
They're showing you guys. Very chill. Very nice. I feel like, yeah. Yeah, I better be I think you're saying this. I was shocked how yeah, I know the recipe I know so we're able to still release the college she doesn't understand that even though she'll like if it's just nice in there she'll like why do you test
I don't see.
She wore those kids for nice. Yeah, and then this race or label.
I'm trying to encourage the next 2 years.
I'm going to bring a tray of water and send it and freeze it. This is really cool. It expired when I was on vacation. And because it fully expired, I replaced it before it expired. They seized it from me. Yeah, the same like everybody else.
Enjoy you guys.
Join the wires.
Nice to hear your voice on the phone today. We were just trying to find something to do with alternate reality.
I don't know what the lead
Once I just put something on the agenda. Oh, the clients, you put something on it. Here's what he said. Despite representing themselves.
Yeah. You know,
But Tillerson said that just to make it fluid. And then you explained it just the way that we've known that doesn't make any legal difference. It's how fluid inside. It's just like recording one size show spread. Trying to minimize genocide.
Genocide and the genocide. Yeah, it's like a lot of politics.
Well, that's good. So what should you got that's going to talk? You know, just like treating racists why do you say you're jealous about treating racists? It's a book That one just needs to be treated
Well, concerns lots and now they just really go to these like very chill things.
That is going to drink this beer.
2 hours doing
You can't get a small trip. tub of water. That's great. Playing stoves and water.
That's great.
Daddy's gonna lay on this hammock.
Just like sitting there in the sun, like I definitely like generally like past vacations that I've never ever been here. I just like right now at the age that I could just
No, it's lovely.
it was painful coming back.
Some shit happened. Almost was
And I don't remember any of that.
I get into this cycle of like being resistant and then gorging on Twitter and then feeling like shit and then I can't work because I'm exactly.
I said they were all allowed not to maybe we should just
take my life this year. No, I mean, it's not international. There's like certain limits to how it's like that. Like, and I was eating all this.
I took my phone if someone tried to
but I'm
I was so proud of bouncing between 2 and 4. But then I get doubled up right after that back up for some people set the thing to only see things with the so you read it makes more difference. You say I only want to see different things, but it's
I in fact think there's a direct correlation between, or a direct reversible relation between the amount that someone tweets and actual knowledge or like usefulness. Like if they've tweeted like 30,000 times and they have like 5,000 followers, that's a bad ratio. You want someone who tweets like 30 times, like
no, but that's someone like
twice a day.
they announce they go on to
Sometimes I'll go like days without reading their
You're that following again, which means you listen unfollowing it at some point to follow it again. So I have more or less referred to that.
I do not understand the social media habits.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
It's especially cold in here today.
Oh, Matt.
It is.
I didn't know
No,
you
no,
were
no, no.
such a
I'm
such
not
a
sensitive.
delicate flower.
No, I know. I am hardly neither delicate nor a flower. Just remarking on
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? How's everybody?
Good.
All right. Thank you. I like your green as well. Thank you so much. Okay, we've had a busy day here today at the State Department, starting with the Secretary announcing the International Religious Freedom Report and the rollout of that today. Earlier today, the Secretary released the State Department's annual report on international religious freedom that provides an overview of the status of religious freedom
I'm
today
not
in
sensitive.
199
No,
countries
hardly.
and territories. In his remarks, Secretary Tillerson affirmed that religious freedom is a foreign policy priority in this administration. As the Secretary said today, no one should have to live in fear, worship in secret, or face discrimination because of his or her religious beliefs. The Secretary also called out the egregious examples of those who deny individuals their fundamental freedom to exercise or practice their religion or belief. In particular, he called out the crimes of ISIS for what those crimes are: genocide. There can be no doubt about that. ISIS is clearly responsible for genocide against Yazidis, Christians, and Shia Muslims in areas it controlled. The protection of these groups and others subject to violent extremism, is a human rights priority in the Trump administration, thanks to the hard work of the men and women at the State Department and the administration's commitment to the issue. There is no nation as dedicated or as effective in advancing religious freedom as the United States. The 2016 annual report on international religious freedom can be found on our website, and that is a big part of our effort. Secondly, I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome 2 new colleagues here at the State Department this week. First, Nathan Sales has started his work as the State Department's coordinator for counterterrorism. We had a nice chat yesterday, so welcome to him. Before he joined us, Mr. Sales was an associate professor at Syracuse University College of Law. That is where he wrote in the fields of national security and counterterrorism. He previously served as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department of Homeland Security and as Senior Counsel at the Office of Legal Policy at the Department of Justice. Welcome, Nathan Sales. Also, Carl Risch started this week as the Assistant Secretary for Consular Affairs. Carl has been serving as Acting Chief of Staff in the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. He was previously the Field Office Director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services at the American Embassy in Seoul, South Korea. He's also a former Foreign Service Officer, so we are thrilled to have him back here at the State Department. Welcome. With that, I will take your questions. Matt, would you like to start?
Thank you. Yes. We may get back to the Religious Freedom Report, which is really important, but I wanted to start with North Korea, which seems... the secretary upstairs, when asked about the latest, said he didn't have any comment on the pronouncement from Pyongyang on the Guam tests or plans for the Guam tests. But he said that you continued to be open to having a dialogue. Is it still the position of the administration that the North Koreans have to do something other than just say we want to talk before you'll sit down with them?
I think so. I mean, the secretary, I think, was pretty clear about that today. Just a couple days ago, he spoke about this as well. He said, look, we'll talk, but they have to take some serious steps. Susan Thornton, our acting assistant secretary for East Asia Pacific, who's been very engaged with the secretary on this issue, has said the same thing. Look, we're willing to sit down and talk with them, but it appears that that's not going to happen imminently. They have to take some serious steps before we get there.
Well, does not doing something count as a step?
I think they would have to be a little bit more clear. And again, when Kim Jong-un talked about Guam, that again is a hypothetical of sorts.
Right.
So they would have to do a lot more.
Well, okay, so just to be clear, not launching ballistic missiles towards Guam is not enough for you guys to talk with them.
I feel like that's sort of a question that my child might propose. You know, if my child were to say, hey, Mom, if I don't steal this cookie, will you then give me television? Well, right. No, the answer is no on that one. Okay. I think we can all relate to that.
Are you suggesting then that Kim Jong-un is
No,
a child?
I am not suggesting. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting it's such an extreme hypothetical to reward someone for not doing something.
Well, right. But so, okay, so what, in other words, then, must they do affirmatively or positively?
And I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I mean, the secretary has been clear about we will see it. They know what they need to do to get us to come to the negotiating table. We are willing to have talks about this. This is obviously a very serious matter. Cookies and children aside, a serious matter. They know what they need to do, and the secretary has said we're not going to negotiate our way back to the negotiating table.
Okay, so just to put the finest point on it possible, you're not going to go and sit down with them unless they take steps that they know that they have to do. That's just them saying we're open or we're not. We're going to hold off on sending missiles toward Guam is not going to get you interested in having a dialogue.
I think they would have to do quite a bit more.
All right, thanks.
Hi, Dave. Hey.
Hi. If they know what they have to do, what's the problem in us knowing what they have to do?
Some of these would involve, private diplomatic conversations that we have with our friends in the region. I think the main point here is that the U.S., along with our partners and allies, we're all on the same page. We're talking with a whole lot of countries about this pressure campaign, and nothing has changed.
So if they know what they have to do and their allies, so South Korea and Japan know what they have to do, it's only the U.S. people and our readers who don't know what they have to do?
Look, Kim Jong-un We would like to have talks with him when the time is right, when they show that they are serious about an effort to move toward denuclearization. We have not seen that yet. Remember, and let me go back to this again, 2 nuclear tests last year, 2 ICBM tests in a month alone. We have not seen that they've been serious at this point.
So, you know,
Hi, Saeed.
if they say that we will no longer launch missiles over Guam or into that area, into the Pacific, that would not be enough? I just want to understand you correctly.
I think I answered that question. Again, this can get into
but
extreme hypothetical situation, and I don't want to get into that.
Because they said that, you know, they were specific. They said we're going to launch a missile on that region or in that area. So if they say we will no longer do that, that is not
and I think we're not going to respond to every single threat and every single hypothetical.
So, you know, with everybody assuming that North Korea has nuclear weapons, and some say, in fact, put a figure on it, like 50 or 56 or something. So do they have to say, okay, this is what we have, we want to denuclearize it before you could talk with them?
They would have to show some serious steps and some serious indications that they would be willing to sit down for talks. Okay? All right. Hi. Jenny, hi. How are you?
I see. Kim Jong-un's bad behavior has been going on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what United waiting for? Why didn't do anything act to North Korea?
I'm sorry, why what?
Why didn't do military actions immediately when they threatening U.S. and our life?
Why didn't we undertake military actions to do so? Well, we believe that diplomacy deserves a chance. This is still a new administration, 8 months now into this administration. The Secretary Tillerson and Secretary Mattis penned a joint editorial that ran in yesterday's Wall Street Journal in which they talked about that they're on the same page, believe firmly that diplomacy can solve this. However, you know, we're prepared, as we are in every situation around the globe, to switch to another plan if that is absolutely necessary. That's a DoD issue, so I'm going to stay away from that, but we believe that diplomacy is a solution here.
Yeah, one more, South Korea. Yesterday, President Moon Jae-in of South Korea said that remark that no one can military action on the Korean Peninsula without the South Korean government permissions. What is the U.S. position of this?
We have a good relationship, as you know, with the Republic of Korea. We have constant, ongoing conversations with that government. What you propose there is another hypothetical situation, which I'm not going to get into, but we continue to have conversations with the Republic of Korea on a near constant basis.
What if North Korean Kim Jong-un sudden attack South Korea? Can the United States engage in the military?
As you know, South Korea is an ally of ours, and as we do with our allies and friends, we pledge to protect them as well. Okay? But then, that's a hypothetical. I don't want to get into that, what I've said. Okay, anything else on DPRK? Okay, hi. Hold on a second.
In your assessment, does the United States see a gradual change of China's attitude toward North Korea? Do you think they see North Korea more of a liability than asset?
I think, and we saw this about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, when China voted in support of the UN Security Council resolution. We were really pleased to see them take that step. The Secretary and others have had frequent conversations with the Chinese. As you know, President Trump spoke with President Xi over the weekend, and they talked about our mutual agreement that DPRK is up to no good, and that is a security risk not for the region but the world. So we are asking them to do more, as we have. They're North Korea's primary trading partner. We believe that they have unique leverage to put pressure on North Korea, and they've committed to us that they're going to follow through with those UN Security Council resolutions and making sure that those are adhered to from their endpoint. And so we look forward to having them hold up their part of the bargain.
So do you see their action in the United Nations Security Council as an indication of their gradually, slowly change of attitude?
I think it's trending in the right direction. It's trending in the right direction. And then President Trump and President Xi had a nice conversation over the weekend discussing that very thing as well.
And then, finally, you just mentioned there's not a lot more North Korea can do to resume the talk. Just for a good soundbite, could you flesh out what else, what a lot more they should do and then not to do?
Well, North Korea would have to take some very serious steps and show us that they are serious about its interest and intent in denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula. They would have to do a lot more of that. Secretary Tillerson has talked about that extensively. He's also said, I'm not going to negotiate my way back to the negotiating table, and North Korea knows exactly what it needs to do. Let's get serious about it. Okay. Hey.
It's not really a hypothetical. What do your agreements with South Korea say? Do you have to get their permission to launch any sort of strike?
Some of those things are diplomatic conversations, and some of those would involve the Department of Defense, so I just don't want to get into that.
But, I mean, if he says you can't without his permission, you're not going to respond?
I'm not going to get into that, okay? I'm not a part of that conversation that the U.S. military may be having with South Korea on that point, but they are a valuable ally of ours, as you well know, and we defend our allies. Okay.
I'm confused what President Moon remarked yesterday, because the U.S. and South Korea is an alliance, but he not want to be war in Korean Peninsula. But however, U.S. supposedly involved with the war when North Korean Kim Jong-un attacked South Korea. But why he discouraged it? But
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last part.
President Moon doesn't want a war in the Korean Peninsula.
Well, no one does. No one does. We don't want that.
Yes,
President Moon doesn't want that. Japan doesn't want that.
Exactly.
No one wants that. And that is why we are so pushing hard on this diplomacy campaign. I mean, the number one thing you hear me talk about here, the number one thing you hear Secretary Tillerson talk about is goals and efforts to try to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, getting Kim Jong-un to give up those illegal weapons, getting him to stop with his destabilizing activities. It's a priority, obviously, at the United Nations and the UN Security Council, where they had the unanimous vote on that matter. It's a top issue for our friends and allies and partners around the world.
This is not between U.S. and North Korea problem. This is actually problem is the South Korea affected, but the Moon thought this is your guys' problem. That's not. How did you?
I'm sorry, is this our problem?
I mean,
I'm not understanding the question.
Between the U.S. and North Korea problem, do you think this is between the U.S. and North Korea
Is this
problem?
issue between the United States and North Korea? No. This is between North Korea. This is between North Korea and the world. It is not the United States standing here alone expressing concern about the activities of Kim Jong-un's regime. And by the way, it's a good opportunity to remind people what it's like for North Koreans to live under that regime, okay? That is not a free and fair country. It is not a country where people have ample food, opportunity. It's not a country where people can come and go as they please. It's a country where they're starving their own people. They're engaged in forced abortions. Pardon me for talking about that, but that is a very grim reality there, where people are living in labor camps. It's under horrific situations. This is not between the United States and North Korea. It is the world looking at North Korea and condemning North Korea and the Kim Jong-un. This is not about the population there, the regular folks. This is about what Kim Jong-un is doing not only to the world, but to his own people.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anything else on North Korea? Hi.
There are reports suggesting the rocket engines powering the recent successful ICBM tests in North Korea came from a state-owned Ukrainian factories. The State Department aware of that? Are those reports, and do you have any comments?
Yeah, we're certainly aware of those reports that have come out. That's an issue that we would take very seriously if that were to be the case. One of the things I do want to mention about this is that no single country has done more to curtail these ambitions of North Korea than the United States. There have been a lot of UN Security Council resolutions, and they obligate all nations, including Ukraine, to prevent transfers of sensitive technology to the DPRK. In the past, I know that Ukraine has prevented the shipments of some sensitive materials to nations that we would be certainly very concerned about. We have a good, solid relationship with Ukraine. As you know, President Poroshenko was over here a couple months ago, meeting with the president, also meeting with Secretary Tillerson. As a general matter, we don't comment on intelligence reports. Ukraine, though, we have to say, has a very strong non-proliferation record, and that includes specifically with respect to the DPRK.
Just directly to follow up on that.
Yeah.
Ukraine today have confirmed that the rockets did come from the factory, but they say they were made before.
I'm sorry, who confirmed this?
The Ukrainian government confirmed it did come from their factory, but before 2001, when they were part of the Soviet Union. And they say those rocket motors were transferred to what is now Russian control.
Yeah, I don't have any information about that particular report. I'm not aware of what you say that the Ukrainian government has just said. If I have anything on that for you, I'll get it to you, but I'm not familiar with that. Okay? Anything else on this? Okay, let's stick with North Korea, clean out North Korea, then we'll go somewhere else. Meaning, let's finish that topic before we move on to something else, okay? I just want to be clear.
We just talked about China's support for the latest UN resolution. China has supported past UN sanctions resolutions on North Korea, but the actual enforcement of those sanctions has been wanting. How much time would the U.S. sort of allow to pass before you kind of reassess whether China's actually serious about this resolution this time, and before you may start to consider secondary sanctions on Chinese companies, which I think Secretary Tillerson has hinted at, Susan Thornton hinted at as well.
Secondary sanctions have been put in place against some Chinese companies, as you're well aware, and I believe individuals as well. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. It took many, many years to get to this very concerning point with North Korea. It's going to take some time to try to resolve this as well. We'll continue the conversations with China. Let me read you a little bit about one of the things that Secretary Tillerson said in some meetings in Manila just about a week ago. He said, he talked about China and Russia being helpful on the issue of North Korea. He said, I know that they are having talks as well with representatives from North Korea. I think that is evidence that they have a very good open channels of communication to be able to talk with the regime of North Korea. And we hope that they will be encouraging them to stand down their program and abide by UN Security Council resolutions, which both China and Russia have voted for in the past. So I'm hopeful that they will use their influence, and they think they do have influence with the regime to bring them to the point of dialogue, but with the right expectation of what that dialogue would include. So again, these are ongoing conversations, and I don't want to put a timeline on it, but we're having a lot of those conversations.
Thanks.
Okay. DPRK. Okay. Hey.
When North Korea spoke yesterday of watching U.S. behavior, they appeared to point specifically to joint U.S.-South Korea military exercises. Is there any consideration of making changes of U.S. behavior in that manner?
Yeah, so I think what you're talking about is some sort of a double freeze as we look at it here. There is no equivalency between what the DPRK has been engaged in, the ICBM missile tests in July, the two of those, the nuclear testing. Compare that to the legal activity that the U.S. and South Korea is engaged with in terms of its joint military exercises. Those joint military exercises have taken place for a very long time. They're carried out in the spirit of the October 1953 Mutual Defense Treaty. They're carefully monitored by the international community to ensure full compliance with the armistice agreement. So that so-called double freeze, that's not going to change. We're allowed to do it. We're allowed to do it with our ally, South Korea. We will continue to do that, and that's just not going to change.
Well, just because you're allowed to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do at a period of very heightened.
People are
I understand
there's
your
no
argument.
moral equivalency whatsoever in the U.S. and South Korea doing joint military exercises.
Not suggesting that there
we do these things all around the world, joint military exercises.
Yeah, but I'm not suggesting that there is any equivalence at all. But it gets back to the earlier question. Not doing something, in this case, on your side, you don't think that it's this. You look at it the same way as the North Koreans not doing it.
These have taken place since 1953 or thereabouts. It is an agreement that we have with the Republic of Korea. We remain open to dialogue with the North Koreans, as you well know. We are willing. No, not on this. Thank you. Thank you for asking that for clarification. On the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. But this, there's no moral equivalency between our interactions with South Korea and what the DPRK has done. And the international world, the world recognizes what DPRK is doing is unstable, it's unsafe, and it's flat out wrong. Okay? Okay. Are we done with DPRK? I think we should move on. Okay. Okay. Let me come back to you because we already got a question. Hi, how are you? You hold on. Let me go to somebody else. Saeed, I don't want to read about this online. You already asked one question. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I'm teasing you. Go right ahead.
North Korea has said that now is not the time to discuss American detainees. Do you have a response to this? And also, do you have an update on their situation?
Yeah, so we have 3 Americans who are being held by the DPRK. I know that our Ambassador Joe Yoon, when he was there a month or 2 ago, was able to take a look and meet with our Americans who are being held there. We remain very concerned about their status, about their care. This is another reminder to Americans to not go to the DPRK. It is not safe there. Including things that may be considered legal here would not necessarily be considered legal there. So let me just use it as a reminder to please avoid going to North Korea until we get that so-called travel ban in place. When I have updates for you on those Americans who are being held, I'll be sure to bring them to you, because that was something that we would certainly like to see our Americans come home.
And then in that Wall Street Journal op-ed that you mentioned that was penned by Secretary Tillerson and Mattis, they said that an indication of good faith would be an immediate cessation of provocatory threats and also a halting of nuclear and missile tests. But what about the returning of American detainees?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it at the point. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's move on from DPRK. Okay. Hi, Lori.
All right.
I'm sorry. You want to talk about what? Iran?
Iran.
Okay.
On Sunday, Iran's parliament passed legislation to increase spending on its ballistic missile program and on the IRGC, which the U.S. has designated a terrorist organization. And today, the Iranian president said Iran's nuclear program could be restarted within hours and it would be more sophisticated than before if there were more sanctions. What's your response to all that?
I'm not going to respond to that threat or that hypothetical from President Rouhani. The Trump administration remains committed to countering a full range of threats that Iran poses, not just to the region, but also to the world, including its ballistic missile development.
But they said they're going to spend more money on its ballistic missile program.
Yeah, I don't have the intelligence on that, so I'm just not going to comment on that, but that would be a concern of ours.
The administration has, members of the administration, from the president on down, have said that they believe that Iran is not violating, is in violation of the JCPOA in spirit.
The spirit of the JCPOA, yeah.
Does the administration still believe that they are adhering to the letter of the JCPOA?
There's a full Iran review policy that is still underway, so I don't want to get ahead of what that review policy is going to be. In terms of where we have stood at this point, the United States has, from the IAEA, then recertified to Congress, so they know where we stand on that issue. But we still believe that what Iran is doing is destabilizing, and that the JCPOA doesn't fully recognize and comprehend and encompass all this destabilizing activities that Iran is engaged in.
Right, but you also would acknowledge, though, that the previous administration that negotiated the deal never said that it did.
Correct.
Encompass this.
Correct.
Now,
And that is why we look at that and see the flaws in the JCPOA, that it should be so much more comprehensive.
Where I was going with the first question was, does the administration believe that it, meaning the U.S., is in compliance with the letter and the spirit of the JCPOA?
We certainly are. We believe that we are in compliance with the JCPOA.
Your position is that you are not you're not violating the spirit of it by not encouraging European companies or other companies to do business with Iran?
I know that we have ongoing conversations with many other countries to discuss this. I know that other countries also share our concerns about what I'll just broadly call the destabilizing activities. We know what they do in the region. We know what they do to some of our U.S. Navy ships. I mean, that's just one example of some of the things that they do.
So, in other words, the administration believes that the sanctions relief that it continues to provide to Iran is in keeping with your commitments under the
we continue to have
deal.
some of these conversations with other nations as well, and keep an eye on those things.
No, right, but as far as sanctions relief is concerned, the administration believes that it is fully complying with the terms of the agreement.
We don't believe that they are complying with the spirit of the law.
do you believe that the United States is fully
Oh,
compliant?
are we complying? Yes, we are complying.
So in terms of sanctions relief, they're getting everything that they deserve, nothing
I,
else.
I'm not going to characterize it that way. I'm just going to say that the United States is in compliance with its end of the bargain. Okay?
Today, the United Nations Secretary General said that we should not walk away from the JCPOA under any condition. Do you agree with that?
It's not my place to agree or not agree with them. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to another subject. Who's got anything?
Move to the Palestinian-Israeli peace process. Or first of all, could you update us? There's an upcoming visit. A delegation will be going to the region. They will go to the Gulf region, then they will go to Israel and Palestine. Mr. Kushner and Mr. Jason Greenblatt. Is the State Department involved in this process?
Yes, we are. We are always involved in that process. What you're referring to is an upcoming trip. I don't have I don't know
exactly the time.
Yeah, I don't have an exact date for you on that. And when I do have that, I would be more than happy to provide it to you. There was a statement that was put out, my understanding, from the White House about Mr. Greenblatt's travel. He will be accompanied by Jared Kushner as well as Dina Powell on this trip. So I know we are looking forward to supporting them, as we always do on their constant travels over to that region. Typically, when they travel to talk about Middle East peace and other issues, we provide backup assistance with them and attend meetings with them. Our ambassador, our chargé, will also attend those meetings. The State Department helps to set up some of those things. And then upon their return, we do a debrief and have conversations about what they learned and where things stand. So it's a close cooperating relationship between the State Department and also the White House on this. We recognize it is a big issue. This has failed a lot of past administrations, and we feel that this is a good new effort, a fresh effort to put forward to have the White House and the State Department working in concert on this.
Today, Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat said that he was refuting some Israeli reports suggesting that the PA is walking away from its enthusiasm for the Trump initiative, but he's saying that the U.S. ought to, as proceeding as its predecessors, this administration, as its predecessors, commit to the two-state solution. Has there been any statement by the State Department, to the best of your knowledge, by this White House, committing to the two-state solution?
One of the things that we have said is that both parties need to be willing and need to be able to agree to something. And if they're willing to negotiate and agree to that, they are the ones that have to live with that day in and day out, and we will support them in those efforts.
But the whole Oslo process, which the United States is really the shepherd of, is premised on the two-state solution, correct?
Look, both parties have to be willing to live and to work with this, and we will help support them in that. I think that is ultimately up for those parties to decide.
And I have one last question, I promise, on this issue. Yesterday or today, the daughter of the American ambassador to Israel, Talia, immigrated to Israel, and she presumably will be joining the Israeli army. Is that a good practice for the American ambassador to have his daughter join the Israeli army?
I'm not aware.
That is perceived as an occupation.
This report is news to me. I'm not aware of that report, but I'll certainly look into it. I'm not sure we would have a comment on it, but I can certainly look into it. Okay. What else do we have today? Are we done?
Iraq.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
How are you? So a delegation of the Kurdistan regional government went to Baghdad yesterday to start a negotiation on a possible breakup from Iraq. With the United States.
On a possible what? I'm sorry?
Breakup from Iraq or declaration of independence. So would the United States support these negotiations between Erbil and Baghdad?
Yeah. I mean, certainly if Erbil and Baghdad want to sit down and have a conversation with one another, that is certainly fine. As you know, we have expressed very serious concerns about holding a referendum, even a referendum that's considered to be an unbinding referendum. What we would like to see is a stable, secure, and unified Iraq. As we talk about the referendum that the Kurds want to hold in September, late September, I believe it is, we look at that and say, we understand what you're going for. We understand what the goal is, but let's not take our eye off the ball. Let's not take our eye off of ISIS. And ISIS is the major serious threat in Iraq right now, and we're concerned about a referendum at this time, that referendum would be further destabilizing.
According to the KRG presidency's website, in the phone call between Mr. Tillerson and Barzani, Mr. Tillerson encouraged Erbil to negotiate with Baghdad. Is that the case? What else did Mr. Tillerson?
I don't have a readout of that conversation. Okay. Right.
Your objection is to the timing of the referendum.
We've talked about that. Yeah, I think I've been clear about the concerns related to the timing of the referendum.
But it's not about the referendum itself, it's the timing.
And ultimately, this is going to have to be worked out with the Iraqi people, but I just want to be clear, ISIS is the main fight that Iraqis have been fighting for years now, hoping to get people back into Western Mosul as they've started to come back in. There are operations taking place up in the north in Tal Afar. We haven't talked about that a whole lot, but there are a lot of concerning activities on the part of trying to get ISIS out of Iraq, and we see that as the sole focus where we need to stay, where we need to keep the eye on the ball. Okay?
I have one question on India.
Yes.
Did the Secretary spoke to the Indian External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj today? Do we have a readout of it?
I believe, you know what, I'd have to double check on that. I'd have to double check on that schedule. I know that we're celebrating a couple Independence Days, yesterday with Pakistan and today with India. So I know we've put out some comments on that.
And also there was an announcement about a 2+2 meeting between India and US ministerial meeting. Do you know what's the time and venue for that?
I don't have any information on that to give you at this point. I'm not aware of any scheduling yet.
I have one more on Afghanistan. Have you seen the open letter by the Taliban to President Trump asking him to withdraw from Afghanistan?
Yeah, I certainly have. So I'm not going to comment on any statements put out by the Taliban on that. Let's not lose focus here that I'll say this about another country, destabilizing activities. What is going on in Afghanistan is a result of the Taliban. We've seen, and there was a report out not that long ago about the increase in attacks on civilians, which largely included women and children. That is being perpetrated by members of the Taliban. Let's not lose focus that the Taliban is behind many of those attacks, many of the increase in civilian casualties. That undermines the Afghan population and also the Afghan government as well. So let's not lose focus of that. I've got to leave it there, you guys.
Withdrawal from Afghanistan is not an option at all.
Pardon me?
Withdrawal from Afghanistan
that is not my position. I know that that is not my place to talk about that whatsoever. I know there are a lot of various options on the table that the U.S. government is considering as it reviews its Afghan policy. I think they will be considering a lot of different options and would never rule out absolutely everything.
Do you have any updated guidance on the situation with India and China?
Just that we are encouraging both parties to sit down and have direct dialogue.
There was another round of skirmish in Leh from India and China.
I'm sorry, what?
There was another round of tension.
Today, earlier.
Okay.
You can update us on that.
If I have anything new for you, I will be certain to get it for you. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you.
All right, thank you very much, folks, for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. President Trump is set to speak in just a few minutes. I'm going to put the link on the chat, so make sure that moderators, please copy it and then also post it on there. We're going to shut this down and we're going to start President Trump's stream. He is set to speak at Trump Tower regarding infrastructure, so don't miss it. Here at Golden State Times. If you are new, subscribe to the channel so you can get a heads up and when we go live, so that way you don't miss anything. Like I said, if you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes. Head over to the stream where President Trump is going to be speaking regarding infrastructure. Heather did a very good job, and from now on, we're going to be doing her press briefings every single time they have one. So stay here at Golden State Times. Thank you very much. Peace. All right, folks. So we got footage of the press briefing, the State Department press briefing already. So we're going to switch over to that, and we'll go back to Trump Tower on our next stream when President Trump is set to speak regarding infrastructure. But for now, we're going to switch over to the State Department for the briefing by Heather. So let's go there now.
Billy McKnight.
I think Bill ran into a brick wall.
Because I talk to guys that go like, hey, have you seen Billy McKnight? And they look at me like, fuck off. They don't want to talk about it. Did he like piss some people off?
Like who? People at CNN?
Yeah.
You mean?
Shooters.
Yeah.
And so like,
yeah, he ran into a brick wall.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
The lights are on. Go up there, get pictures. You know, you got to do at least one Facebook photo.
Okay, let's shoot. We might as well. No one's here.
No one's here.
Is it delayed?
Yeah, 2:30 now.
Oh, then we're definitely taking pictures.
All right, that's the spirit. So, yeah, even in see, look, this is what I learned a long time ago. Because once I started, after a couple of years, I figured out how things were out there.
Yeah, this is another.
I started getting frustrated as some other people.
Oh, just letting you know. This happened to me too.
And I was telling this to Greg, and not so many words, in a different kind of roundabout.
What happened to me too?
It's an establishment. They have their ways, the hierarchy. There is a pecking order. There are favoritism. There's all this shit going on. And there's a new person coming in. I don't care where you're from or what your experience is. You're not going to break through that. It's so hard to do that. And after a while, they get chewed up and spit out. It's just not, it's, you know, unless you grew up in the system.
Right.
And you got promoted, and then you may have a little more swaying power to kind of shift things and try to do things differently. You just can't come in and say, you know what, Tom? I want you to go, no, you're going to be pissed off.
Right.
Who are you going to go talk to?
Right, sure.
Somebody over his head that you know. And
so that's kind of
what shit. Well, it's just that kind of stuff. That's not the scenario. But yeah, that's
he wasn't the layoff guy. Like, you know, sat down and to go, well, you know, I know you've been here 25 years.
No. Okay. No, had nothing to do with that. But
because he was such a good guy and a good friend to me, I kind of lost track of him now.
Yeah.
He's working in Georgetown.
Right, he's teaching. Yeah.
Great. Great working people together.
She has a meeting at 2.
That's good. But anyway, I just wondered if your reaction had been like, fire everybody, and you know.
Now, he didn't have the power to do that. Now, certainly he had influence.
Right.
If you were messing up, you know, he could probably, you know, help get you pushed out the door.
Right.
But that was, you know, see, that's the other thing, and that's what was always interesting about CNN.
All right, folks. So really quick, if for whatever reason before it starts they switch it off to fix something or whatever, we'll go back to Trump Tower, and then once they bring it back, we'll go to the State Department briefing. Now, I really do not know about what that guy said, that it was going to be delayed a little bit. I have no idea. There's no updates coming in from the State Department for the pool feed. According to the pool, it's still starting at the time that it was set, or maybe delayed by 15 minutes. But it should start within the next 15 minutes. So stay here at Golden State Times. Make sure you guys share the stream. Thank you very much.
That was stolen at the State Department. Here.
That kind of stuff happens. I mean, certainly when somebody of high up management comes in and they say, well, look, guys, we're going to no longer do the long format pieces. I want our pieces to be a minute 30.
Right.
What?
Right.
Minute 30? You can't really get 3 sound bites in, you know, or 2 in the stand-up.
Yeah, right.
You know, and he's like, that's what I want,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
kind
right,
of deal. You're like, okay, yeah, you know, we're gonna do this. And I'll never forget Dave Pierce.
Dave Pierce.
Remember Dave?
Sure. I like Dave.
You like Dave? Yeah, I always thought Dave was a little aloof. And I'll never, you know, he was the one that kind of gave me the opportunity.
He was a good guy.
And he was a good guy, although he was, you know, he was a different cat.
Yeah,
and then Bill Lawler, remember Bill, who was his assistant news director.
Yeah, I remember Bill, a great guy.
Bill, great guy, he had good, sharp editorial smarts.
And then, well, we're kind of screwed the pooch with like when Benny came in.
Who?
Gannett.
Oh.
You know, when Gannett, well, it was okay for a little while, but then this.
Right, I wasn't there when Gannett came in. Right, it was still DVM.
I got into it with the news director about that.
Who was it?
Got Rob Benny.
Rob Benny.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Human being.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a situation
That's
where
usually what happens when the big corporate guys
he used to be a shooter.
Oh,
and shooters turned into manager.
Oh, on that. Well, it can be. I thought Bill was a great guy. I did. You know, the only thing I hated was Bill was still on a local television.
Right.
You know, he saw everything through a local lens.
Right.
Whereas, you know, some of the stuff, you know.
But he was a real journalist.
Right.
He could sell the journalism.
Yeah.
Well, we see him come and go.
And that's something, and I'll tell you a funny quick story. So do you know, I gotta think for a second, Rick Morse from Fox?
Yeah.
Rick is kind of like their utility guy.
Yeah.
He shoots now and then, but he was at CNN.
Right.
Okay.
He's a great guy, yeah.
Rick left CNN because of, you know, the bullshit that started happening when it went too corporate. So, you know, corporate guys come in, like you said, and all of a sudden, you know, things start to change. You're like, well, why are we doing things this way? We've been doing them like this all along. Everything runs smoothly, no problems. You know, all the other networks love what we're doing. And now so he's like, I'm out of here. I'll never forget one day, we were talking, and he's like, you know, they'll come and go, and we'll still be here.
Right.
Don't forget that. Right. And that's stuck in the back of my head. And you just, sometimes you do have to just kind of play along.
Yeah.
You know, hunker down, be a good soldier, do what you gotta do to keep, you know, stay under the line of fire.
That's exactly right.
But I'm getting ready to leave CNN. I'm about done. Yeah.
It's you know, I had a kid who was like around the age of college, so I was paying him to
right.
Wow.
How old are you, Tom? Okay. Yeah, you look good for 65. Dude, seriously, man. I wouldn't have guessed that. I'm 55. I'll be 55 in December. So, but I'm just done. Feeling down, beat up, neck hurts. Thank God my back isn't giving me trouble.
You want to like go run your motorcycle?
Yeah,
I'm going to stir this.
I didn't fall into the trap of having kids. I never married, which, I mean, there were times when I think I missed out on a lot of stuff, but it's going to enable me to retire early. And so that's the one caveat. I don't have to.
Sylvie, she grew up in Chevy Chase, like,
what's her name?
Sylvie Overlander.
Oh yeah, Bob's daughter?
No.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, right. No, I wouldn't do that.
No, that was Nikki, was her name.
Okay.
Nicole, I think. Oh, okay.
You guys.
Sorry to hear that.
When you speak of Marcia and my wife,
yeah.
she like, oh wow, Mark, yeah. Because
She loves you guys. Look, can you have your phone? Let me see a picture of her. Come on, Tom. You don't have a picture of your wife? How many kids do you have?
All right, so really quick for the people that are new to the channel, that's not me talking. I just want to put it for the record. That's not me talking. That's nobody that works for me or is associated with us talking. That's just two random reporters just talking on a hot mic in the at the State Department. The Department of at the State Department. So again, that's not me. And yeah, so just wanted to say that real quick.
Oh, okay. So she's inside all the time.
Yeah, she's not out here.
Okay, so maybe I would have never seen her out in the field.
Nah.
But you gotta have a picture of her somewhere. I gotta see a picture of her. How you doing?
Good. Not ready yet.
Take your time. I got all day. But I've done some, big production stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm sure I would have bumped into her.
Not doing no work, not doing nothing. I'm glad I'm not
Hello, folks. If you guys just joined us, my name is Jen. I am the host of the stream. Right now, we're watching Trump Tower live, where President Trump is going to be speaking later on infrastructure. So right now, we're waiting for the State Department briefing. We're waiting for feed. So once we get that, then we'll switch over. But later on, we're going to do another stream because President Trump is set to speak. As you guys can see, his podium is out already, and they're preparing everything, making sure everything works. And he's set to speak at, I think, around 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, I think around that time. So we're going to go back to that once the State Department briefing is done. But for now, we're just waiting for it. We're waiting for feed, and we'll switch over when we have it. Thank you very much. Please share the stream. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the chat.
she's like doing really nice, like she on Sunday, she was celebrity.
Is that right? Good for her.
She like doing the Louise Dreyfus, she does the guy on the Mindy Project last week, she was
Really?
yeah. So she's like doing more entertainment.
That's the best, really.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking it's still 2 o'clock. You don't have a picture.
I do somewhere.
Now, did she grew up in Chevy Chase?
Yeah. Do you remember when Hines was on Brookfield Road?
Yes.
She was too.
Okay, so she grew up on the Maryland side.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why. See, I was only, she does look familiar, actually.
Hey, believe me, they know you.
Oh, I'm sure. It's because of my brother.
Yeah. They thought you guys.
My brother was such a terror. I'm sorry. That's why I pronounce my name the Sicilian way now. It's just, there's just too much. That's damage. That's been done. So what are you doing here? Just some cuts?
Cutaways, I guess, like stuff in the game.
Okay. You like that, yeah. Well, this isn't going to happen for half an hour.
Yeah.
Yours.
I gotta like, next month. Sign away the flag. It's like my pass, that's the whole thing. It's like we're trying to get like stick around pass, but you gotta like attend so many guys. That's the rules. So Sheila said that.
Yeah, they're cracking. These people are well, they've done that at the one place that's done that for a long time has been the Pentagon.
Right. That's just
Which I can understand because it's a, they're all sensitive places, but it's not like these rooms are all passcoded. You can't just walk in. You're trying to do espionage. So, but my point there is, this group is, I don't know where you fell on the political spectrum, Did you vote?
Oh yeah, but if you go to the Catholics, it's kind of like...
Oh, I know. I'm just saying personally. Was there a sign in?
No, it's just did you send? You have a hard pass? I have a hard pass. I know, I think I...
Ma'am, we got one more. Gentlemen.
You're full, right?
No, I am.
It's a hard pass. I'll make you sign in this way. Yes. Only today. Because you get some gifts or special. You are getting a special event for a special meeting. Yay! Yay! Wait for it. There it is. You don't have the image of it yet, right? Yeah. There it is. Wait.
I mean, that's just me.
Tell me, sorry, I'm learning everyone's name.
I kind of like this one. I think I agree with Ron. It's lighter than it used to be. I don't remember ever seeing it.
I'm getting a little nervous about the way forward. I mean, Charlottesville.
That's pretty sad.
It's because of this administration. That's not the way. There's going to be a lot more civil unrest. That's the scary thing. I spent 2 weeks on the street bowling it was rough, and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to doing anything anymore.
It's getting meaner.
It's getting meaner. It's getting more dangerous.
If you've got a camera like here,
in fact, CNN bought a bunch of riot gear for everybody, and they only outfitted a few people, and now they're outfitting everybody. They sent me an email. So what's your size for helmet and vest and all that? I'm like, what?
maybe we'll start shooting.
Well, that's just a crazy job, but I mean, yeah, no question that, you know, it doesn't take much for somebody to be up in a building, you know, and just to start shooting down the crowd. You know, there's a lot of crazy people out there and guns everywhere. It's just, you know.
Are you going to stick around here when she's developed?
Yeah, for a while. I mean, I have 2 houses here, so.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So 31st Street?
Yeah, I have that house, and I have my house in Capitol Hill as well.
Oh, right. You're smart. Really smart.
Yeah, man, that's like big time.
Well, you're really smart. That house is beautiful on 31st Street.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on that place. The only thing I haven't done that's left to do is put in air conditioning, central air, and I'm getting ready to do that this next month.
Was it like 10 grand?
Keep dreaming. Yeah, like 20-something thousand. But I found. Have you seen they have the Mitsubishi makes these smaller units that has like an air handler in the house.
You're gonna have it like vents put in and all that kind of stuff?
Well, you have these like handlers put in.
Yeah.
So they just drill a hole through the wall and run the coolant line outside to the compressor. Right. And inside you have it's about this long and about this high, and you just mount them in each room. And I'm going to do that because I don't need the ductwork. See, my house has got no room for ductwork. It's so tiny. The closets are like this big. I had a couple people come out and they're like, well, you know, we could take up this house. I was like, I can only get 3 shirts in there. And they're like, well, you know, it's not as bad as you think. And then when I saw the price,
Was that kind of, how much did that increase the value?
Substantially. You know.
Is there a certain?
I told you. You know, it really will substantially.
You know, Brooklyn Market.
Yeah.
And fair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Shooting lots like west of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you are now?
Yeah.
So you moved from that other house?
Well, we've been there for like 20 years.
Okay. Originally you were a block off of Connecticut, right? In your other house?
Yeah, we're actually up east of
Well, that's a good neighborhood. So you've been there how long?
19.
So you paid like $400.
Yeah, exactly. Like 450.
Right, it's about.
Then we blew out the roof, put like
Did you roof it?
Yeah, new bedroom up there.
Really?
So look it out of there, we can cash out.
Oh yeah. Good for you, man. Good for you. No, that's a lot. You know, where'd you grow up? Did you go to BCC? No, we went to Jersey. Okay. Well, I grew up in both DC and Maryland. So we moved to Chevy Chase, Maryland for high school. My parents couldn't afford a place. You know,
Did you go to Lafayette?
I went to Lafayette. And went to unbelievable. It looks like a college.
The back center.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the best elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
So they spend, you know, it's got the big tax base, they can spend the money there. And they know people will do it. And, got it, thank you. Oh, did you want it?
Great, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All good.
Good.
So.
I told you about that time we had the calendar. Did you get an assignment?
Yes, you told me that story, and I don't remember it to this day. That's terrible that I don't remember it. You sure it wasn't Andrew Ball? Because I know Andrew was like, he was a wild man, and that sounds like something he would have done. Wow.
So precise. So well fit into it. And I just like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'll never forget Andrew almost beat up some dude.
Some guys have some tab.
Yeah, I knew him from growing up.
Was he a Chevy Chase guy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, he was a wild dude, no question about it. Crazy. He knew people that I knew. I didn't know him as a young kid. I met him like in middle school or early high school, I think. Yeah. We knew a lot of the same people. Well, it's funny, the guy I mentioned that Rick Morris, he's from the area. He was a Hearst guy, and when I went to St. Anne's for junior high school, I met a lot of people who he knew. I know a lot of people that he knew. We have a lot of common friends, and there's a lot. Those were some rough times too. There was some tough late night when we used to run around, a lot of fights. We used to run around, all the time. It wasn't a whole lot to do. A lot of
probably like somebody like trying to wipe it down. Somebody else was probably dressed up. Or we didn't try to wipe it down at all. I mean, that's more like no. Actually, when I passed it, actually looked like somebody did try to wipe it down. Yeah, but it was like dirty wet. But it was like right now. It's just they were like. I didn't even see it.
All right, hello folks. My name is Jen. I'm from Golden State Times, and as you guys can see, the president's podium is there because he is set to speak later on. This is live from Trump Tower, where he is right now, and you know, there's a State Department briefing coming in just a little bit. We're trying to get feed, and as soon as we get that, then we'll switch over to the State Department briefing. At a later time, President Trump is set to speak regarding infrastructure. So he says he has some pretty good news and some developments. So that's the reason why his podium is out. He's going to be speaking from Trump Tower in New York City. So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Jen. Like I said, thank you for choosing us as your stream of choice. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. And it should start in just a few minutes. The Department press briefing starts in 15 minutes, around that time. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to get feed before that. But it's scheduled to start in 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
No, this was just in case somebody, Pretty cool. It's like last
cameras here. They're all video.
Crazy shit went on back in those days, but I was usually on the sidelines because I wasn't big enough to get in the brawls.
Like not related to Australia, just like, no, not related to
Yeah, well, I had to fight my brother. Yeah, so that got beat up a lot.
Had you been there? Finally,
Like the top one.
People were shaking hands, you know, and we were in the box coming. It takes fast out the time when you're can't get the seating line. Shaking hands and I was chatting with the Russians. That's right. This would have been November.
Really? Getting out like, I mean, honestly, from their perspective, so smart. Like, they know more about what you guys. Yeah, so it's.
You're working on RPM.
Yeah.
He knows that. My other arch nemesis is BBC Watch. One other time these rubber bands to bind all my stuff on my desk. Did some other stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It's part of my land. It's combination of markets.
And that's just good. It depends on